Sukihontu and good evening to ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Dhamma Dana series brought to you by Buddhist Maha Malaysia. Today's session is also live on TBCM FB. Do subscribe our FB for more information. The topic for tonight is Remembering the Past Life, Fact or Fiction by Bhante Professor Nagamu Weaver Rewatha Mo. Without further ado, let's invite Bhante Professor to join us in our live session. Hi, Bhante.
Okay.
So, just a brief introduction about Bhante Professor Nawagamu Weaver. Relevant Professor Namagamu Weaver was born on 5th November 1946. He was ordained in 1956 and further received his higher ordination in 1972. He has been a Buddhist monk for 64 years. He obtained his Bachelor of Art from Witilankara University and his Master of Art from the University of Nagpur, India in 1977. Venerable Professor Bhante is a retired professor in the Department of Sanskrit of University Kanaliya and Deputy Prelate of Amarapura Aryan Vanse Samayutika chapter. He has been a lecturer of University of Kelaniya for 35 years. Over to you now, Bhante.
Okay. Now let us speak about our topic, reincarnation or rebirth is known to us for a long time. The proofs of rebirth are I have given you earlier. There seem antiquities and dissimilarities among individuals in respect of wealth, health, and fortune. We can see dissimilarities and inequalities among individuals in respect of wealth, health, and fortune. According to Buddhism, the cause for these inequalities and dissimilarities is karmic actions that one has done in an earlier birth or births. According to Buddhism, a man consisting of body and mind cannot arise only from physical factors. Fact of karmic energy gained in previous births fashion and govern the life of a person to a certain degree. The wick and oil cannot produce flame without the intervention of a spark of light. This spark can be compared with the life-giving substance of consciousness activated by karmic forces. We can't remember our past lives, but yogins, due to their practicing yoga, can recall their past lives and they can tell even our past lives. Sometimes it occurs apparently quite ordinary children can see their previous births. There are a large number of very interesting reincarnation type cases. They had taken place in Sri Lanka, Burma, Thailand, India, and some other countries, even in Western countries, in some of the cases, these children had practiced in a past life yoga. But there are some cases we can't say how they attained this ability. Nobody knows how memory works, not even the scientists, although sometimes it seems as though they know everything. According, according to Mahayana Buddhism, memory is presented in Alaya Vijnana, just as the biological memories are stored in a seed. Similarly, our past memory is stored in Alaya Vijnana. So many scholars have done research work on reincarnation. Francis Story, one of those scholars, he with Professor Ian Stevenson research has done research work in various countries to know whether this process is true or not. So let us see some of these cases and try to understand what reincarnation is. In Burma, a lady, wife of a government officer, in her childhood, able to recall several important events of her previous life. Most of these cases, in the early life, children can remind their past lives. In this case, also, she could remember her previous life as an infant. As soon as she began to talk, she started telling the names of her previous names of the neighbors of her previous birth. Her husband at that time was a gambler. You know what a gambler is. A gambler always gamble for money. Most probably he lose, not gain. Her husband also had the same lot. He could not earn. Always he lost. This lady had a strong desire. She felt like to ordain her little son in Buddhist order. So she wanted some money for the function, but it was very difficult for her to hoard money, to keep money with her, because her husband takes all her money and spent them. He did this always, and so this lady had to collect money secretly without knowing to him. Little by little, she collected some money. But alas, she could not realize her dream. She could not actualize her dream. She died because of a disease. And after her death, she was looking at her dead body. Now she was in Antarabhava or in an intermediate state. Scholar Francis F. Story said that she was reborn in the world of spirit. But this is not a real birth. This is an intermediate state. According to Tibetan Buddhism, this state is called Bardo. Bardo means Antarabhava state, intermediate state. According to Tibetan Buddhism, each and everyone has to undergo this Bardo state. And a book known as Bardo Todol is read before the corpse of a deceased. In that book, they advise by relating that book, they advise the deceased to go where to and do what to do. It is a guidance for the deceased. And this lady had no such guide, and she was looking at her dead body. She felt a very good freedom at this time because she had nothing to do. As a housewife, she had to attend on many work. She had to clean and feed her children, clean house and garden. Again, she had to attend on her gambler, gambling husband. She felt a great freedom now because she had nothing to do. Then the people who gathered there spending much money for the function, for the funeral function. She told they are squandering money on this deceased corpse. If I had a tenth of this amount, I could have ordained my son in Sangha order, but I could not do. Again, she saw them, some of them were weeping. She told, why they are weeping? I am here. I am here in a good state. They are weeping. She wanted to tell them that she was there. They told them, they talked with them, but nobody could see her. And it was a problem for her. Why they are not talking with me? She thought. Actually, she was in a spirit. She was in an ethereal body. We can't see that body. Though the person who is in that state can see us, but we can't see him. Then they, after a few days, took the corpse in their hands and they took it to the cemetery to cremate. She, as an guest, as an unwelcome guest, was in her death function, in her funeral function, and she followed them. Then the party came to a river. and they got into boats, and with the dead body, they went away. The lady who died, who was in the intermediate state, did not go with them. It is said that ghosts can't cross rivers. Though it is true or not, she did not go away, and she looked at them till they went away from her sight. Then he had nothing to do. She felt sorry. As a housewife, she did many things, and now she had nothing to do. And so she felt sorry. What should I do? She thought. After a while, there came her neighbor, one of her neighbors, on horseback. She thought to got onto the horse. Instantaneously, she was on horseback. Then the fellow rode to the village. She spent some days there, and she can't remember that she was born as a small child in that house. Very soon she could speak, and she told the names of the neighbors of vicinity, and she could not recognize them. Then she told them what has happened to her. According to this story, you can understand what will we have to undergo after death. For a day or two, for some time, we have to stay in that intermediate state. Though Theravada Buddhism did not accept this Antarabhava state, according to modern research and stories of this type, we have to accept that there is such a state. You may have heard of Bridey case. In America, a lady named Ruth Simmons was hypnotized by a psychologist known as and then she was taken to her previous birth. She could remember her past life as a woman in Ireland. She could tell him many things about her past life. And she was then a Catholic lady and have some connection with priests when she went there, and they advised her in every way. She was very religious, and she lived in that intermediate state for more than 70 years. She says when she wants to go somewhere, instantaneously she was there. She could go there. And when she remember a person, instantaneously she could see him and she could go there to see him. But they could not see this lady. And at that time, she had the same figure as she had in her earlier birth. That means it resembled altogether to the earlier body. Yet it was spiritual body, very ethereal body, and could pass as wind anywhere it likes. She could see her dead relatives at that time. One of her brothers had died at an early age. She was there in that state as a child. He could not recognize this lady, for she died after matured and as an old lady, but she could recognize him. So we can understand that the state is an intermediate state. And if a person live in this state for a long time, after he taking birth, he has to keep that figure. But if he goes from that stage again very quickly to a new birth, then her new parents' appearance and their hereditary forms should be taken by her, by anybody. Again, in this stage, they can see what we do, but we can't see what they do. And they see, I have read in a book, these people who are in that state are known as Gandhabba. These Gandhabbas or Gandharvas travel everywhere. They can't stay at a place firmly for a long time. They go from place to place, floating. While traveling, they can see people eating food. They are eating very sweet things. These people, these spirits are also want to eat, but they can't do it in that state because these gross elements cannot be taken uh, into that ethereal form. So he grow that person grows very much desire to taste these things by putting into the mouth. For this reason, he wants to take a birth due to this craving. Again, when he travels, he can see people making love. Sometimes they are living as husband and wife. When he see them, he feels like to do this work. He wants to courtship and he wants to cohabitate. But in that state, he can't do it. So to do this, he wants to take birth as a man or a woman. This shows our Buddhist saying that from craving arise pain. From craving, the people comes to the world. Tanha janeti puruso. Tanha means craving. Janeti means it gives birth to the man. Due to craving, one has to come to this world to enjoy. It is this craving which make the transmigration from one place to other place. We roam due to craving. We can't go beyond this entangling. We can't break this vicious circle. While we are living, we have to undergo so many hardships. The old age, decay, death, and ailments are familiar with us. Even loss of money and so many hardships we have to undertake. Yet we don't see this as a suffering, as a dukkha. That's why people come to the world. And hence, Buddha's saying, Buddha's teaching become truth to this experience of Gandharvas, so spirits who are seeking a life at that time. again I have to say you something according to the karmic actions. One has to undergo and reap the fruits of his karmic actions when he reborn, when he is reborn. According to a story in Pali Canon, a lady, a princess known as Rohini, lived in Kapilavastu. She was Arahanta Anuruddha's younger sister. When elder Anuruddha, Arahanta Anuruddha came to Kapilavastu to see his relatives, all the relatives went to him to see him and to greet him. Yet Princess Rohini did not come. Then Venerable Anuruddha questioned why was it. Then they told that she is suffering from a skin disease and she feels shy to come before people. When Anuruddha asked her to come, but she did not come. And when she was asked for the third time, she came there concealing her body with the cloth. Arahanta Anuruddha asked her, why did not she take treatments for this disease? She told, even though she had taken many remedies, she could not get released from this ailment. Then Venerable Anuruddha told her, I will tell you a remedy. You should make an almshouse for bhikshus and you can attend on bhikshus when they come for alms. She told, I have no money to do this. Then Venerable Anuruddha told, why don't you have money? Then don't you have embellishments? Reverend sir, I have. Then you can sell them and make build a build an almshouse. Then she told, I can sell them and obtain money, yet I don't know how to do these things. Then Reverend Anuruddha told him, I will help you and ask your relatives to do it. Then an almshouse has been made by using that money. And she was asked to attend on big course. She prepared food for them. She brought hot and cold water for them, and she cleaned the almshouse and did whatever she could do for the benefit of Sangha and others. Gradually, her disease disappeared. Then Buddha told the cause for this disease. Once she was a queen of a king in a former birth. That queen was jealous of another beautiful queen of the king's household. And king admired her very much. Due to her jealousy, she bought some plant. When it is applied to the skin, it gives an itching sensation. And she applied this on that lady's skin. She felt very discomfort and went to her bed and reclaimed. Then it gave her more pain because that lady had put that plant on her bed also. She changed her garments. Then it gave her some more pain because that lady had put that plant even on her garments. Due to that karmic action, due to that sin, this lady had to suffer from this disease. Now, the reversible action, the reversible karmic action made her well, and she could be a pretty woman again. After her death, she was born in Tavatissa, and four gods wanted to marry her because of her beauty. And this is a big story. But God Shakra wanted her as well, and at the end, she became the queen of God Shakra, the king of the gods. This is an old story, yet we can compare it with modern researchers. We may have seen some such cases in cases saying Edgar Casey, a prophet or a miraculous person who lived in Virginia in America, he could tell past births of people. Again, he had a clairvoyant, clairvoyance by which he could tell people medicine for each and every ailment. He cured many a people during his lifetime. For some people, he said, during your past birth, you did this and this karma. This is a result of that karmic actions. You don't have medicine. You can reap as you sow. In such a case, there was a person who could not see, who was blind from his birth and came to Casey for treatment. And Casey said, in a former birth, you were among barbarians. You have been appointed to blind those who come to that place, and the host, host of this tribe, those enemies, when they could grasp, they blind them, and that is the past karmic action he had done. And due to that reason, he could not be cured. So we can compare these cases in Buddhist stories. Venerable Chakupal became an arahant, but he was blind. It was due to the reason that in a former birth he was a physician. He was a physician eye for eye ailment, ophthalmic surgeon. At that time, a lady came there for treatment. The physician asked, "How much you pay for me, pay for my treatment?" She said, "I have no money, but I will be a slave of yours." Then he gave her medicine, and day by day she gained her vision. But this lady was very cunning. She wanted to slip away from him. When questioned a third time, she told that she can't see. Her disease is still prevailing. Then the physician know what she is going to do because he know that this lady can see now. Then he told you, then I have to prepare another medicine for you. And so saying, use another medicine and put it on her eyes. Then she became blind. That is the karmic action due to which Arahant Chakupala lost his sight, though he became Arahant. So we can understand that what we do in this life will have to read in another words. In those stories are far beyond our verifications. All stories to prove karmic power, I can put forward you a present story. It took place in Sri Lanka, testified by Professor Nandasena Ratnapal. It is on his book Melo Paladena Karma. The name of that book is Melo Paladena Karma. The karmic actions which give results in this birth is the meaning of that name. There was a lady in a rural village. Her husband died, and their only son was very rude and not a good person. He did not take care of his mother. When he became young, he brought a girl from a very bad family. Mother asked him, why you brought this girl? Don't you have another place to bring a girl? She cried out, I do what I want. Keep quiet. Then she kept quiet. This taken, newly wedded uh, lady was very bad. She was cruel to her mother-in-law. Every evening, when her husband came home, she told against her many complaints. That fellow treated his mother very cruelly, sometimes beat her. After a while, after some times, this lady suggested her husband, let us put hot water onto your mother's head. This fellow agreed. Then she prepared hot water. She put the kettle on fire. While it was burning, while it was melting, boiling, this fellow asked his mother, I want to bathe you in hot water. Please sit down here. He brought a chair to the compound and asked her to sit down. She sat down. Then the fellow tied her to the chair. She asked, why you are doing this? Don't cry. I do what I want. Then that lady brought that boiling water and put it on her head. It gives us very much pain and she cried out. Then she brought another kettle of water and put it on her head. And she was very much pain. It gave her very much pain and she cried out again and again. They gave her no medicine and put her in a dark room. After 2-3 days, there were so many wounds on her body. That fellow asked her wife to do whatever treatment she wants. She put some salt with chili on her wounds and she cried out. After some days, she died. After a week or two, some wounds and blisters sprang on that lady's skin and they became grow just like pomegranate seeds and they gave her much pain. She cried out. That fellow did whatever he could do. She brought her to so many fishes, but she cried and died due to the karmic force that she acquired at that time. Then the son was very much afraid, and he gave an almsgiving for her mother, for his mother's sake. But it did not affect his karmic action. After 2 3 days, he also got the same disease. He cried and cried for 2 3 months. He could see his mother going in front of him. She asked, "Oh son, why you put some hot water on me?" At that time, he felt like very pain and he could not bear up. He cried out very loudly. And after some days, he also died. So we can't refuse the karmic force. Even in this birth, if anyone does that thing in similar bad with similar karmic force with bad thoughts, he has to suffer much. And therefore we can't refuse these stories. Even in present life, we can see some such things happen among our people. Again, due to our previous practices, phobias also happen to people. Some phobias of people come from the past lives effect due to the effects of past karmic actions. Dr. Alexander Cannon in his book refers to 1382 reincarnation cases. In one of his cases, case studies, a businessman of undoubted capacity has suffered from a phobia of going down in lifts. He was an individual of good mental power, yet he had the phobia of going down in lifts. There was no reason for his phobia in this life. Then, according to hypnotic experiments, when he was taken back to his past lives, once he was a Chinese army general. At that time, he died after falling down from a dizzy height. He killed on the spot instantaneously. This has resulted in the phobia of his descending lifts in this life. So we can see some phobias among some people, but we can't tell what is the cause for this phobia. In Ian Stevenson's books, he wrote many books on this previous births. His books are known as cases of reincarnation type. One is for Ceylon, in cases of reincarnation type, Ceylon. In that book, I saw a case history. A merchant, a, a child in this life was fear of water. In his previous birth, he was drowned and died. That's why his phobia for water. And another man who died due to an accident was fear when he sees a vehicle. His phobia of vehicles due to the past experience, but he can't see that past experience. When hypnotized, he came to know what has happened to him at that time. These sort of things, phobias and some vasanas or past experiences occurred to us. In Buddhism, these past experiences are told as vasana. Vasana means earlier habits, earlier habits, past habits of the people. Even an arahant can't can avoid these past vasana gunas. They also have to suffer them. Only the Buddha could avoid the cause of these past actions, past habits. Once a monk, an Arhat monk, was invited to an almsgiving. He went with the Dayaka to the almsgiving house. While going, they met a small water canal. That Reverend Sir jumped from this side to the other side of that small canal. In seeing this, the Dayaka thought, this Reverend jumped like a small child. I don't give him pirikara. Pirikara means the present. Uh, Dayakas give some presents after giving alms. That is called pirikara. I will not give him pirikara, parishkara. Then they came across another small watery place. The Arahanta saw the intention of the Dayaka and he got down to that small water and then rise to the front. Then the Dayaka questioned, why you got down to that small water canal that you can easily jump out? Why did you do this? Then the Arahant monk replied, by jumping off of that early one, I lost my pirikara. If I jump over this one, I will lose my arms also. That's why I did not jump over this canal, he said. That's the reason for his jumping over that canal was due to his former habit. He was a small child for several times at that area, and he used to jump over that canal at his earlier states of birth. That's why he had to do it. Even an arahant, he could not avoid that karmic force at that habitual habit. If one is habituated to something, He can't give away that habits even after that life. So due to some reasons, we have some miraculous or unnormal habits. They are the proofs or causes of our past births. And I have been asked to tell you of past lives and their causes. That's why I have told you of these stories. I don't know whether you are satisfied or not. And now your turn. Now you can question me if there is a doubt. Please write down them and then I can easily grasp. Your mic is off. Mic is off. And
Thank you, Bhante, for
please write down, then I can understand.
Thank you, Bhante, for sharing us the Dharma session tonight. We shall have our Q&A session now with Bhante. You may post whatever questions that you want at the FB page here. Thank you so much.
Okay. You can have, you can ask something. This is a problem for you, but it is not a problem. When one becomes an arahant, he can destroy the effect of all sins he acquired in this life. Every karmic actions are destroyed by the power of arahanta chitta. So he did not go to hell. After this life, he attained nibbana. He parinibbuta. He was an arahant. But in case of Reverend Moggallana, he had to suffer for the sins he did in her previous births. They are called aparaparyavedaniya karma. Even an arahant has to face them. Some portion of Venerable Angulimala's karmic action has given him some trouble while going. Some people felt stones at him. Sometimes nobody was there, but he had to suffer from these things. Yet he did not go to hell because there is no way to give them that result. After attaining arahantaship, he has to attain nibbana. Then he won't be born again. But if he had some aparaparya karmas in previous lives, he had to suffer. Some portion of his karmic actions he had to enjoy, but not fully. It is good to remember our past lives because it is only then we can have first-hand experience and we will do good things because we know that there is a river, because we know that there is a future life. To model it, to make it better, one should have this experience. Now we have the second hand, third hand knowledge. If one can understand what one has done in one's previous births, and that one is acquiring its results, he feels fear to do bad actions. Sometimes when some people are sick, they can't remember the past life of present, this his present past life, past life of this birth. It is due to, sometimes it happens due to possession. Possession means some other person enter his body and he animated it. Then what happens, that fellow, he can't remember his present past life, but he remembers the person who possessed his body. That fellow's remembrance come to him. Such cases happen. In Sri Lanka, a boy was ill and some LTT fellow who died in the war entered that fellow's body. Then he could not remember his mother also, present mother also. He said, "This is not my mother. This lady is very kind. She treats me well, but my mind is in Jasna. I am a fellow follower of Prabhakaran. I like LTT." He said this. He could not even remember, recognize his mother. That was because somebody else possessed his body. That thing happened. I have written a small book on this possession. Yes, when one can attain the fourth jhana, that is the state when we meditate, we can come to first jhana, the second jhana, third jhana, and fourth mental state of samadhi. Then, if we try, we can see our past life. Even in Hindu yogas, it can be done. Even in Hindu yogis, we can see that those who can see their previous births. Karmic cycle means according to one's karmic actions, one has to undergo some such things. Dharmic action is law of the world. Dharma means the worldly nature. Something put on hate may fall down. That is dharmic law. Due to this dharmic law, the pull akashan, pull of gravitation. Gravitation is dharmic law. Due to that law, planets go around the sun. These are dharmic law. And hereditary instincts are there. Heredity is there. It is also a law govern the world. Son become the type of the mother and father. Coconut nut give the birth to a coconut tree. Then coconut tree gives us coconut. That's the dharma, loka dharma. Karmic forces are affecting the first people. Dharmic forces govern even the worldly nature.
Thank you, Bhante, for answering all the questions from our audience. Now let's invite Bhante to conduct Anumodana.
I wish you health, wealth, and prosperity. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. May all beings be happy. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the monk and management of Maha Vihara, we would like to thank Bhante for his time and sharing his Dharma knowledge with us. We would also like to express our gratitude to all our sponsors for their kind donations and all our audience for joining us tonight. Good night, everyone, and have a pleasant evening. Suki Hontu.
Sukhi hotu.
Thank
Sukhi
you,
hotu.
Bhante.
Okay.